Good afternoon. We are going to definitely wait until probably about 1:05 just to allow everyone to come in and get settled in the meeting.
Thanks, Nayani.
You're welcome. Hello, Madam Chair.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. I just said we would wait a couple of minutes, obviously not one yet, but waiting until everyone is allowed to come in.
Okay. Do you know that tomorrow is first day of spring?
I thought it was today.
Is it already? My goodness.
I think it's tomorrow.
Wow.
Time is flying when you're having fun.
Right. While we're waiting, I'm gonna go fill up my water.
Okay. I think we have someone that can't hear sound. Can everyone hear me? Okay. We'll give it a few more minutes to allow other members to join.
Might have been because nobody was saying anything.
Well, Michelle, you know that's not me.
And Bill, I think you're used to joining a meeting where we're all chatting away when you come in.
Good to see you, Austin.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back.
Welcome back, Austin.
Thanks, everyone.
How's the little one?
Amazing. It's this cute little tiny mini me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a picture to share?
I think I do. Can I just share it on the chat? It won't go public, will it? Oh,
You,
well.
I don't think you have access to the chat, but you could share your screen. We haven't started the meeting yet.
Oh yeah, let me see.
Let me mention before you do that we're now posting these meetings online. So just to give you that,
The video component.
the video component, yes.
Okay. Let me see something here. I might be able to find something. Let's see. Wait, where's my camera? There she is.
Oh my goodness.
Aww.
Look at that. How cute.
Born on 2/4/24.
Aw.
That's awesome. That's a great birth date.
Our oldest boy, his birthday is 12/13/14. So
Wow. You know, no, not you. Your wife knows how to pick the dates.
Yeah. Makes it easy.
Madam Chair, it looks like we can begin if you would like to.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome to the subcommittee meeting for the technical assistance for the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness. This meeting has been publicly noticed in compliance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law. Chair Michelle Fuller-Hellauer will call the meeting to order.
Good afternoon on this wonderful bright day. It is 1:03 p.m. on March 19th, 2024, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Nevada Interagency Council on Homelessness Subcommittee for Technical Assistance to order. Niani, would you please call roll?
Chairwoman Michelle Fuller-Hellauer,
Present.
Karen Van Hess,
Present.
Noga Valdez,
Present.
Dr. Pamela Janelle, Chris Murphy,
Present.
Vice Chair Brooke Page,
Present.
Austin Pollard,
Present.
Christy Costa, Lorena Lemus, Scott Benton. Madam Chair, we do have quorum.
Great. Thank you, Niani. And thank you all for being here so that we can have quorum and move forward with our meeting. Let's move on to item number 2. That is our first of 2 public comments for this meeting. No action may be taken on a matter raised until the matter has been specifically added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you are making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111. The ID number is 847-312-658#. We're not open for public comment, so please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. Do we have any public comment? No public comment? Seeing none, hearing none, I will close this item and we will move to agenda item number 3 for possible action, discuss and possible approval of the minutes from February 20th, 2024, the Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness Technical Assistance Subcommittee meeting. Do we have any discussion of the minutes from our last meeting? If not, I will take a motion for approval. Okay, y'all have to wake up now. You have to unmute your mics if you're talking. These are action items.
This is Chris. And I was just looking to see if I received those meeting minutes, and I don't see that I received them.
They should be in the invite for the meeting. They should be an attachment to the to your invite. Are you finding them, Chris?
On a invite that I have, it just says I have a link to read more. When I click that link, I just get the agenda. I didn't get them. I don't see the meeting minutes from our last meeting. I think that's probably why nobody's responding.
They were sent out on 3/5.
Okay.
Sorry.
I do have access. It's showing up on mine. I'm just unsure if I can approve the minutes since I was not at the last meeting.
Thank you, Austin. Chris, if you go to your appointment in your calendar and open that appointment, it will probably be attached to your appointment.
Got them. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know we've got a few folks on that were not at our last meeting, so I'm going to give just a minute for folks to review the minutes. Is there any discussion or question about the minutes from our last meeting?
No, I've reviewed them. I'll make a motion to approve. This
Thank
is
you,
Chris
Chris.
Murphy for the record.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
This is Karen, I second.
I second that.
Sounds like we have 2 seconds. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please unmute yourself and indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions, please unmute yourself and indicate by indicating you are abstaining.
I abstain. This is Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke. Okay, motion carries. Minutes are approved. We'll go ahead and close this agenda item and move on to agenda item number 4, which is for information, discussion on the received applications from the Technical Assistance Subcommittee recruitment sent out on February 21st, 2024, and discussion on the applications that have been received. Niani, I believe somebody from you or your team were going to give us an update on where we are with that.
Yes, Deani Cooper for the record. So we received 8 applications, and up until this point, actually, Sam, if you can add, we have 3 letters of interest. One came in from Adrian Babbitt just right before the meeting started. But people actually have until tomorrow, the 20th close of business day, to turn in their letters of interest. Once we receive all of the letters of interest, then we will send out, I'm going to say my team is going to get it together and be ready to send on Friday morning. So you guys all will have the letters of interest and the scoring matrix to respond. It'll be a quick turnaround because we do need to get everything remediated and posted for the next meeting when you'll vote. That's where we are in the process.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, comments from the Technical Assistance Committee? I just want to remind everybody that any applications that come in, whether and letters of interest, whether the folks are chosen during this cycle, we will keep those applications on record for a year, I believe we had determined, in the event that there may be other vacancies during the year, so that we have folks kind of ready if there are other vacancies that might come up. And we're also going to leave the application opportunity open through the year, so that if folks determine later that this is something that they want to join, they can indicate so through the portal, do their application, and we can get their information and have it kind of in the bank, so to speak, so that we have some folks that we know are interested in becoming part of this group in the event that something happens and somebody's no longer able to be a part of this group in the future. So if I misspoke anywhere in all of that, somebody please correct me. Okay, hearing no corrections and no questions, then I think we will go ahead and move on. Niani, just to clarify, do we need to respond anything back to you by a deadline?
Yes, that will be on the email that we send out on Friday. You'll actually complete a scoring matrix and forward that back to our team. And the scoring matrix will be posted, as well as the letters of interest. And then I think you guys decided for the April 16th meeting is when you'll be voting in members.
So just to reiterate, we need to pay attention when we get that email from you all, because we have some homework that'll be in that email that we need to respond to. Okay, any questions? Last call for questions or comments on this item. Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'm going to close this item and we will move on to agenda item number 5, which is our For information only, our champions report, status update from the COC and TA subcommittee members regarding the progress in developing content and language to be included in the assigned sections of the Nevada Strategic Plan on Homelessness. So what do we have for updates, folks? We are in March. So our first strategic issue, housing. Who are our housing champions?
So as the chair of the housing work group, we have had a series of meetings and have pretty much fleshed out a majority of our goals that we are charged with. And the action items that we are going to be recommending, I think the final steps for us is sort of to review that as a subcommittee and provide some feedback, which we will do via a Google document, a Google poll for folks to kind of review the information that's come in from our work group, and then provide some feedback if there's any additional thoughts about the action items per goal that we've set. We'll kind of do this both for the policy work group and for the housing work group. But the policy work group is complete as far as going through their goals. The housing work group needs to finish the last one, which is promoting innovative opportunities for use of housing vouchers, such as shared housing, roommates and multifamily shared housing. So I think that one we will be working to flesh out on our last call next week. So I think that's how we will wrap up and then provide to this committee a summary of all of our action items and goals once folks kind of inform our Google Doc.
Thank you. Brooke, Michelle Fuller, hello, for the record. Brooke, I have a question as the champion for the long-term planning work group. For your housing subgroup, are you all doing anything around affordable housing or naturally occurring affordable housing?
Are we doing anything around affordable housing?
Yeah, do you have anything in the action plan or for action steps in the housing section around affordable housing or naturally occurring affordable housing?
Well, we have preservation as part of our goal. And so we did tackle some strategies around how to preserve housing stock. We also have funding as a part of our goal. And so understanding, establishing like the identifying fund sources to support the development of extremely low income housing, very low income up to workforce housing. We have strategies around ways to increase funding for affordable housing development. And then that's pretty much, I think, the bulk of the production side of housing. Those are kind of what we address as kind of the lower tier affordability and ways to improve production or the fund sources and then preservation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. Michelle Fuller, hello, for the record. As I've said in multiple meetings that we've had, that there are some of the goals that are in the long-term planning portion of the strategic plan kind of overlap with other sections of the strategic plan. And so those are some of them that I think might overlap with the housing section. And so I just wanted to I want to ensure, as we're moving forward, that our sections complement each other, and or that in our final version of the plan and the accompanying action plan, maybe we do some consolidation where it makes sense rather than replication. So maybe it makes sense to move a couple of the items that are in long-term planning up into housing, rather than keeping it in long-term planning. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a conversation that we need to have, a broader conversation that we all need to have later. But just some things to throw out, food for thought.
Yeah, Brooke, for the record, I think that that's an important step, that maybe after we all present our action items, that we have a consolidation discussion and kind of see where there's duplication, because the policies committee also has some overlap even with the housing. Equitable access to housing was brought up in both housing and policy. So, you know, the need to sort of identify what is the true action items, I think, that we're moving forward will require us to compile all of our action items to see what's realistic and how do we go about doing that, I think.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who's next? Homeless prevention and intervention. Karen?
I don't have anything. I haven't met with Nolga and Dr. Pamela for quite a while. I think Nolga went over everything that we had regarding sending the letter out and if any responses in the February monthly meeting. I haven't spoken to them since then.
This is Nolga Valadez for the record. Yes, on the wraparound services, my update is still the same as it was before. Last month, I had sent out that letter, that Google document for everybody to kind of put their thoughts together from what originally Dr. Pamela, Karen, and I have had put in that document. I did get a few responses. I just have to go through all of it and then just kind of combine everything and put it all together so that we'd be able to put it on that actual document.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there an update for the education and workforce development? I know Dr. Pam isn't here. Niani, did Dr. Pam send in an update?
No, she did not.
Okay. Do we have an update for the coordination of primary and behavioral health?
This is Chris Murphy for the record. Lorena was unable to join us today, so I'll try to cover for her. We have been meeting. Our last meeting was on March 7th. We've talked a lot about possible resources and things that we could provide service providers, such as open beds, health homes, housing support, and layer services. So we're getting a lot of information gathered on what is existing that we could provide to help professionals. We're looking at possibly putting together an information packet that could be provided to them to where they know what types of services are available and how to make referrals to those services for their clients. But we have yet to formalize anything as far as actual action steps and what we're looking at doing. I know that I still have a couple action items from our last meeting of providing contacts for all the CCBHC organizations in the state of Nevada and what their mandated care coordination agreement, who they're mandated to have care coordination agreements with, which I think will provide the rest of the information we need to move forward. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, thank you. For data and resources, I've had multiple meetings with individuals and smaller teams to kind of develop the action steps that are necessary to populate that portion of the strategic plan. And then that has been sent out to the broader data and resources work team for their feedback. So I'm just waiting for the feedback from the rest of that team for any updates or modifications that they may feel necessary. And then that section should be complete. One of the things that is not done for that section is actually putting actual potential due dates or timeline dates for the action steps. Not knowing when we truly will get this action plan implemented and ready to roll. That's been something that I'll be honest, I've been struggling with on where to put the timeline or the due dates and what that looks like. So I'm open to conversation and feedback or suggestions from anybody from the team. Regarding long-term planning, Brooke, you did the policies, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So long-term planning, we had our monthly meeting just an hour or so ago, and great conversations and great ideas for input. I already mentioned a few things that overlap. There's some other areas that we've had some conversation that overlaps with some other sections, such as behavioral health and wraparound services. So I'm really encouraged by some of the conversations that have come up, and I'm excited about further conversations that we have when we have more plans. And as I've made I've not been quiet about, during this process, is that I think that the long-term planning component, some of that is going to we're not going to be able to solidify until we have more details for the other 7 strategic issues, because some of those things are kind of dependent upon what's happening in some of those other areas. So we're doing the best that we can, given that we don't know what's happening in the other strategic areas, and trying to kind of stay in our lane. But it feels like there are so many things that overlap, and we don't want to do dual effort. So just kind of putting that out there for realistic expectations from that group. We also, one of the other things I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of, today at our meeting, it came up and there was it was pretty unanimous suggestion that our goal, 8.1 goal, there was a suggestion that we split that into 2 goals, because the goal is so packed and it's two very distinct things. And so the recommendation has come up that actually be split into 2 goals. And so I've made note of that, and we'll be bringing that forward as well. So that's just a heads up for you all as a group. All right, any questions, suggestions, ideas for any of the champions?
Hi, Michelle, this is Brooke for the record. I was curious about the timeline as well, and I'm wondering if that's an action item that once we bring forth the different action items and after consolidation and sort of evaluation of which ones we should be moving forward, if that at that point, then there should be a process where we determine realistic action items, like who owns those action items, and kind of fleshing out next steps after we have an opportunity to flesh out which ones actually should move forward.
Michelle Fuller Hallauer for the record. I think that makes a lot of sense, and in many ways that may make things kind of take some pressure off of champions and some of the work teams on trying to determine, okay, who owns which of these action steps and what's the timeline, but just really focusing on what are the steps, right? What are the action steps we need to take to move these goals forward, and then we can worry about timeframes and the owner of the action step later. So I really love that idea. I don't know, if anybody else, we can't make decision here. This is just for discussion, because I think this is an information only item. But we could have discussion about that. And I think that as a item for thought, I think that it really would relieve some pressure. Thoughts from the rest of the team?
This is Chris Murphy for the record. I think it would make sense to, once we have what each group would like to do in the different respective areas, it'd be easier at that point to decide on the timeframes and those things.
So our original talking about timeframes, our original timeframe was that we were going to have our initial draft done by the end of this month. We are in March. We said March 31st for our initial draft. So what does that mean? I mean, in order to do that, that would mean is we would need to get, as champions, we would need to get our initial drafts to Niani and team for them to compile all of that into one document so that we then have something to review and digest and discuss.
So Brooke, for the record, I think it's important for like me as a champion to provide whatever is the update by the deadline as a draft. And if there's more massaging or more things that need to happen after that, I just feel like it's an important date to at least provide information, even if it's not the final, but it provides us with some accountability to ensure that work is happening. So I don't know if it's the champions have by the 31st to at least submit a draft of what they're working on to Niani and team to be able to at least see where we're at with a culmination of kind of all the work groups.
Okay. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm going to have like two different things to present or to turn in. So I'm going to have something that will be, this is what's currently happening throughout the state, right? So these are the things that per each goal that are happening, right? This is what we know, what we've collected. And then I'm going to have something else that says these are the action steps that we need to put in place, right? Because so we want to continue, right? And maybe they go into the same document, maybe they don't. But we need to, it seems to me that somehow we need to delineate somewhere, somehow, some way, shape, or form, what is currently taking place versus what we want to implement, what needs to be new. Or am I overthinking? And it's very possible I'm overthinking, so don't be afraid to tell me that.
This is Chris for the record. I think that I can see that the work groups, as far as the coordination of primary and behavioral health group, that's basically where we're at. Okay, is there's so much that's currently in work and so much that's happening as Nevada is growing and changing to meet the needs. You know, there was so much information that was provided on what's coming up that we know about. And I just think it's going to take time to put it together. Lorena, unfortunately, she had to leave town today. That was the email that I received from her this morning, and she will not be back until after the 1st. So I don't see any way that she will be able to provide even a draft form of everything prior to the end of this month.
Okay. Yanni?
Thank you, Niani Cooper for the record. I just wanted to know if it would be easier if in this document we're viewing on the screen, if we added, if Sam right now live, possibly, I know Sam's like, if we added a column for what we know on each group and then what is needed, or just so you can visually view it and to see what it looks like. And the larger question is, what would you need for us to then send back out so you guys can view the entire document?
Yanni, if I may, we're still waiting on the security to release permissions to external folks outside of the state. So we wouldn't be able to send that out. But if there are any work groups that have anything on hand right now, I can type it up live and then we can see what we're still needing, if that's feasible. It's up to you, Madam Chair.
I'm not quite sure I understand what your question is.
So right now, as it is, we're still waiting for the state's security to make this document accessible to anyone outside the state. So we can't send it out at this time for you to populate. It is supposed to be a live document so that anyone populating it's populating in real time across the board, but it's still being worked on. So in this moment, if we're trying to determine what we currently have versus what we need, if there are work groups, chairs, champions who have completed some things, I can type it up in real time. Right now, if they'd like, or they can send it to us after the meeting and we can populate it, but then we won't know what we're needing until the next meeting.
I think Michelle Fuller-Hallauer, for the record, I think maybe I'm not being clear, or I'm not expressing myself well. So with the work group, particularly with the long-term planning work group, there have been two particular things that we've been focused on. One has been collecting information on what is happening currently throughout the state and within the COCs that addresses each of the goals, right? And so that we know who is already addressing each of those goals under that strategy, under the strategy 8. And we recognize that although there are a lot of things happening, there's not enough. So what we are also doing is we are developing action steps to meet the gap, essentially, in what is currently happening throughout the state and in the COCs. We're creating action steps to try to fully meet the goals that we've identified and crafting what those action steps are. So we've got information for what's already happening in the state that we want to continue to happen, right? So we want to memorialize that somewhere and say, we recognize this is happening. We want you to continue to do it. And we want to collect that data and the information that you're doing it within our state strategic plan. But we also know that there are new things that we as a state need to implement in order for us to fully address these goals under the strategic plan.
Right. I guess what I'm, and correct me if I'm wrong, this document here that we're trying to populate, could we essentially list that information here so it's reflected? Because it is going to be accessible to everyone. Anyone will be able to pull this document up and acknowledge whether or not the goals are being met, memorializing what's already taking place, and then maybe underneath listing, not necessarily something that's particularly actionable, but an action that needs to take place, and then you can determine what needs to happen next.
Yeah, I think that's the intention. I'm not sure if the labels make the most sense given the change in conversations or the conversations that we've been having.
Sure. And we can change that and adjust this document to make it anything that you guys need.
And I don't know if that's going to meet the need of what everybody else in their subgroups have been working on. So that's kind of why I was bringing it up at this conversation, because I want to make sure as champions, right, that all of us within our subgroups, that whatever we come up with is going to meet whatever the needs are, so that when we send the information to you all, that it'll populate into what you have, right? So that you're not going, what is this, and I don't know where to put it. You know?
Madam Chair, I think once we get the information in, then we'll be able to synthesize and figure that out.
Okay, so essentially you're telling me I'm overthinking it and not to worry.
Don't worry, we've got this.
Okay. Okay. All righty then. Any other comments, thoughts, ideas, concerns from our champions or anybody on the Technical Assistance Committee? Everybody's really quiet today.
This is Chris Murphy for the record. I'm just looking at this document and it looks really blank to me. And I know that the sections I've been participating in are still blank too. So I understand the concern with it, being the 19th, right? And so I think that and without having the chairperson in standing in for her absence, I don't want to put out what she has in her mind, what her vision is, and all the conversations that we had. And I apologize to the committee for that. And I didn't have an update from her. So I will provide her with the information that she's waiting on from me. And so she has it before she gets back. And we'll express the urgency of providing this information. And I know that she still has the original tables because that's what we've been reviewing in our meeting. And our comments aren't, we do have comments in our table, just to let you know that, and rest assured that we are, and our table doesn't look as blank as that. But I don't dare share that without her.
Thank you, Chris. Any other comments? Okay, so we need to get, what I'm hearing is that we will get all champions, will get at least what they have at this point, their drafts to Niani and Sam and team et al. To so that they can get the information compiled into one document so that we can start having some broader conversations about what the action plan will look like, and we can start seeing how things are fleshing out. Is that an accurate summarization? Some reaction, folks?
For the record, I think it makes sense to me, but I'm just one of how many on this committee? So I don't know if we're able to make a decision, but that was what we had talked about. And I think it was action itemed a few back in December or January. So.
Yep. I just need some thumbs ups or some heads and head nods to make sure that I got that summarization good, and make sure that we're on the same page with that. Okay, so I think we got it. So if there's no other, was that a high five, Austin, or was that a you got a comment?
I hit the wrong button.
Okay. All right. So with that, if there are no other comments, I'm going to go ahead and close this agenda item, knowing that we will go ahead and get some information to Niani and Sam by the end of the month. And of course, this item will remain on our agenda for next month. And we will continue discussion and plan on a longer meeting next month so that we can really dig into the action plan. Okay, with that, I'm going to close this agenda item and move on to agenda item number 6, which is information only discussion of agenda items for our next meeting, which is April 16th, 2024. So other than our standard items, any items that we need to have on our agenda for next month? I have one I would like to ask if you would be willing to put on the agenda. There is an organization called the Civic Roundtable. Some of you may have heard of it before. I had conversation with them in my previous life, and they have reinstituted conversation with me regarding what they've been doing, and I would like to see if you all would entertain a presentation from them. They do communications essentially. They're a communications platform, and they developed during COVID, and have then since then really expanded their what they are doing are in the homeless services field, and really have set up a way for work groups and COCs essentially to have communications amongst and between different work teams and the community, and some of the communications can be kept private and secure, where others can be open and transparent. And so it's a really dynamic platform and system. And so some of the things that they have implemented have been at the COC level. Some have been actually elevated to implement at the state level. And so as I was talking with the folks for the Civic Roundtable, particularly around potentially implementing the potential of implementing this at the rural Nevada level, I was thinking, I wondered if this was a space. I know that at the state, for open meeting, we've got some limitations, but if the ICHH could support multi-COC communications, right? It doesn't have to live at the state, but if they could support multi-COC communications with this type of a platform, it might be a great way for the support that is needed across the state, between case managers, between the work that's happening and the collaboration that we are trying to encourage and support amongst agencies. So, with that, I was just wondering if y'all were interested in hearing, kind of their presentation and what that might look like, at implementation from a state level, multi COC implementation level, or not. So put that out there.
Brooke, for the record, I think it sounds interesting to learn more.
Thank you, Brooke. anybody else be interested in hearing more about that?
This is Austin Pollard for the record. I would be interested.
It's Chris Murphy for the record. I'd be interested.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. So if we could put that on the agenda for next month, and Niani, Sam, I'll get you guys the contact information for the person for the Civic Roundtable. Any other, anything else that we would like to have on our next agenda? Niani.
Madam Chair, remember you will have on the agenda, which is an actionable item, the vote in for new members.
Yes, thank you. So we've got the vote in for new members, the presentation from the Civic Roundtable, and then discussion around the strategic plan, the action plan.
Brooke, for the record, I'm wondering if there's a need for us to have a discussion around orientation for new members, to get people that are new to the committee, maybe even existing committee members, like oriented on how we work or the goals, and kind of if there's like a need for like a orientation meeting. Is that worth having a discussion about?
Are you thinking, I'm thinking, so Brooke, are you thinking that to have that on the agenda? Or are you thinking to have that discussion right now?
No, to have it on the agenda for discussion. If it's worth us considering onboarding new committee members and need to maybe have a time or a space to orient and answer questions or get people acclimated to the work.
It might be worth it. I mean, even just to ask those new members. But what do the rest of y'all think?
I think it's a great idea.
I'm almost thinking that we should, if we, shame on us. I mean, we haven't developed a standardized orientation training to begin with. I mean, oh, okay. So Niani, why don't we put that on the agenda for next month too? Sounds like we're gonna have a full meeting next month, so make sure you block your calendars for our full time and plan on being here for the full time and being engaged. Don't plan on multitasking. All right. Anything else? Last call. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close this agenda item. And we're going to go to agenda item number 7. This is the second and last of our public comments during this public meeting. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action may be taken. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. If you're making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111, ID 847-312-658#. If you would like to make a public comment, please unmute yourself and state your name for the council. Do we have any public comment? Remember, you need to unmute yourself. Last call for public comment. Seeing none, hearing none, we will close this agenda item. And we will go to agenda item number 8, which is adjournment at 2:02 on March 19th. I will call this meeting adjourned. And we will see you same back channel, same back time next month. Y'all have a great one.
Thanks,
you all.
everybody. Have a good month.
Michelle, do you mind? I'm going to call you and Sam on a separate line
Okay.
via Teams. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.